Good morning, people, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Tuesday, the 26th of July. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Joshua Barrie. How are you doing, Joshua?
Good, Derek. How was your trip back down south yesterday after the training day?
It was amazingly on time. I was expecting the worst with ScotRail. My wife had a few issues on Sunday, getting back down the road. So I was expecting the same, but not on time. So hats off to Avante West Coast. So no complaints from me with regards to my journey down. It was a great day at the open training session, and the folks that we met as well. Fantastic to interact with our young fans, Joshua, that watches us here on YouTube and also on TikTok as well. So great day all round, and watching Rangers go through a number of different drills. It was a good day. Obviously got to speak to a few players. You can see them on our YouTube channel, folk, as well. I spoke to Charlie McCann, Scott Wright, and James Sands. So keep your eyes peeled on our YouTube site. I think Scott Wright press conference is up there already. You should be able to see the Charlie McCann one today as well. Before we talk Rangers, as you can see the little ticker below, we've got that brilliant offer on the website just now, £2 for 2 months worth of content. It really is a cracking deal. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. Just £2.99 per month thereafter as well. So it really is great value for money, and thousands of you are signing up. So thank you very much for that. And as you can see, the One Football app is our Rangers Review morning briefing sponsor. It is your one-stop shop for all your footballing needs. You can keep up to date with all the latest goings on from Ibrox. You can get notifications to your phone with any latest news, such as yesterday's signing announcement, of course, which we'll talk about very shortly indeed. You can also keep up to date with all that's going on, not only in Scottish football, but across the border down south as well, and also the big European competition. So it really is a brilliant app, folks. It's totally free as well, so it won't cost you a penny. And people are saying great things about it as well. So it's a One Football app. Go and download it if you have an iPhone or an Android smartphone. Joshua, I think the big news that broke yesterday after the open training session was a confirmation of the signing of the Turkish left-back Ridvan Yilmaz. He's arrived from Besiktas in a deal worth £3.4 million, with the potential for another £1.6 million in bonuses. He was much coveted. He was wanted by Eintracht Frankfurt, was one of the clubs. Torino, I believe, were credited with an interest. A number of other clubs as well. I think Tottenham were at one time interested in him as well. So he's put pen to paper. He said, I am delighted to be joining a club the size of Rangers, and I'm really looking forward to meeting my new teammates. This is a club who have shown they can compete against some of the best teams in Europe, and I am really excited by the challenges we have ahead of us. I've heard so much too about the Rangers supporters, and I cannot wait to play in front of them for the first time. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, Joshua, after the training session, but on paper, this looks like a cracking bit of business.
It does, yeah. Obviously, we spoke last week, Derek, about the fee, and I think you put out some information effectively saying that the news that was coming out from Turkey that was going to be a 6.5 million fee was maybe contrasting to the eventual deal, the eventual fee, which is 3.4 with add-ons. So obviously the package, just as an Aribo or a Bassi, you obviously have to consider the whole package when it's attainable add-ons. But 3.4 million up front for a player who is a Turkish international, played in the Champions League, won titles in Turkey as well. Knowing what we know about him, I think it's a really exciting signing. It feels like this is in the same way that when Rangers spent a lot of money on Ryan Kent this summer and signing players like Davies and Yilmaz, Tillman, it does feel like Rangers are shopping in a slightly different, maybe a slightly different market is a bit too extreme, but you know what I'm trying to imply. It's different from last season when it was really only free transfers that were afforded in John Lundstrom and Sakala in particular. Yilmaz is a reinvestment of the Calvin Bassey money in some regard. looks a really exciting player, 21. The thing about Barry is that in Europe he was so important, and Rangers wouldn't have got to in my opinion, wouldn't have got to Seville without him, no chance. But domestically, I don't think he's irreplaceable in terms of if you say that the games that will win the league for Rangers will be not only Old Firm games but home games where you just make sure that you get the business done and you manage to score past opponents. And I think in that regard, there's a weird paradox with Barry, because although he's so good, so promising, so key in so many games, with the ball, it's not as if you can't get an offensive fullback who can do what he does. I think the unique selling point of Barry is his off-ball attributes, how he can defend, how he can allow you to defend. That would be difficult to replace, but I think in signing an attacking fullback back like Yilmaz, you hopefully shouldn't see too much of a drop-off in quality in the way the Rangers attack. So looks like an exciting piece of business, probably completes it for now until if and when anything happens. Obviously, we heard yesterday from the manager that Alfredo Morelos looks like he's going to sign a new contract. So that kind of answers that query, which is obviously good news for everyone. 26 now, Alfredo Morelos. You'd imagine this would be a big contract for him as he commits his future to Ibrox if he does indeed sign it, Van Bronckhorst said. I think he said it was moving in the right direction or something along those lines, or Morelos was positive about signing a new deal. And then you've really only got to answer the question of Ryan Kent. Maybe do people like Roof and Hollander stay for the season? So the squad looks pretty healthy, Derek, and I think heading into the new season, they look. I was writing about this on the website this morning. Look well acclimatized to the manager's style of football. Look better structured, and have added players and profiles to the squad they didn't have previously. But ultimately, obviously, if you go and lose to Livingston, all that goes up in smoke. So the frailties of football will be back soon, and we'll see just how successful a pre-season it's ultimately been.
Yeah, cannot wait for Saturday, folks. A lot of comments coming in. We'll touch on some of them. We've got Rob Cole makes that a good point here, Joshua. Now that Yilmaz has signed, what is both of your back lines? That's a tough one for me. It depends on if Van Bronckhorst elects to perhaps play a 3 or a back 4. That's just in talking sake, say it's a back 4. For me, it is... For me, it's once he's up and running, it's Tavernier, Goldson, Davis, and Yilmaz. You?
Yeah, agreed. I think I think Suter will allow you to play a back 3 if you want, particularly in Europe. Allow for rotation. Tavernier and Yilmaz, I think, are going to be the first choice. I think Yilmaz is generally, it's a fair comment to say he'll be better suited to Van Bronckhorst's style of football. Barisic, you still see the odd cross from deep, which I don't think, is very Gerrard-esque as opposed to what Van Bronckhorst wants his fullbacks to do. I had just a little piece on the website the other day looking at one of the passes that Tavernier played for Matondo I think it was for the first goal against West Ham. And he's pinned to the touchline and he manages to kind of squeeze a pass in behind him. I think that's how you're going to see Van Bronckhorst use his fullbacks quite a lot this season, keeping them wide to the touchline, allowing the wingers to drift inside at points, and kind of creating from those positions in the same way that as Zinchenko's done for Arsenal in his debut against Chelsea. I was watching that game at the weekend, and if you can have creativity from those areas in a different way to under Gerrard, although Tavernier can do both because he's just, I think, that good a player. It does represent not only an exciting piece of business, but exciting to see the kind of hopefully the play style develop and vary. That's something we heard a lot in the press conferences yesterday, Derek. Not only do the players feel more acclimatized to the style of play, but they feel more comfortable switching between things. And Charlie McCann said, I think it's out on the YouTube channel this morning, they just have more, is it strings to their bow? Is that the saying, or is it bows to the string? One of them.
Strings to the bow.
Strings to the bow, there we go. All positive in that regard again. But Livingston, I know we'll build up to it this week. It's going to be a really hard start because they'll have had a long time to prepare for it. You know how difficult a place it is to go there anyway. So right into it, and the Champions League qualifier is going to be difficult as well. It's important, I think, that the squad's settled and healthy before the start of the season. Last season that maybe wasn't the case in the same way without many additions. But definitely this year you can see that a number of players look pretty settled already, and hopefully that will stand Rangers in good stead over the next few weeks.
Yeah, Teddy Bear's ripping into you, Joshua. He says, "Bows to your string."
Sorry, it's too early.
There's some good points coming in here. I wanted to touch on some of them. Firstly, James Strachan. I like this. He watches us from down under. He says, sorry guys for being late. I need a note from my wife for making me sit at the table to eat my dinner. That's absolutely shocking. Yeah, if you get a note, James, you've got our permission to watch the morning briefing whilst you're eating your dinner. It's no problem with me. Graham Morrison makes a good point. We haven't spent that amount on Yilmaz to sit on the sidelines. He'll be first choice left back. Tend to agree, although Borna Barisic has been earning rave reviews in pre-season. Joshua, he's not going to give up the position without a fight. I understand he's happy at Ibrox. He's got no plans to leave at the moment unless an offer was to come in that meets Rangers' valuation, and then of course it's time to talk. But does Borna Barisic have a future? Of course, you need to remember the Croatia in the World Cup at the end of the year. He'll have aspirations of being in that World Cup squad, and I'm sure the national team boss wouldn't want him sitting on the bench.
Yeah, probably. I mean, again, speaking to James Sands yesterday, and I think his interview's out in the YouTube channel tomorrow, he was saying that he was asked, obviously you want to play more so you can make the World Cup squad, and he detailed the conversation he'd had with his international manager, who did say that he'd need to play more than he'd been playing in the spring to be in contention. So that is a big factor for players who want to play for their international teams at a World Cup, because it's not only getting into a squad, this is the peak of international football, isn't it? So he's not a bad backup whatsoever, but it's whether he wants to be a backup. I think it's one to maybe watch this space, Derek, because I completely agree with you that he's in a stage of his career as well. He's 29 where he wants to play first team football. It could just bring out the very best of him, and Rangers played 65 games last season. There is the opportunity for rotation there. We don't think about it at fullback because Tavernier plays every single second. But yeah, I was thinking about it last night, and I was thinking if you're Borna Barisic, and the comment before was completely right. For Yilmaz, it might take him a little bit of time to settle in, but that you look at the deal, why Rangers have brought him in, they're bringing him in to be a first team player. They're bringing him in to have a really successful career and hopefully one day sell him for a big profit. So I think he's going to be first choice, and it'll be interesting to see how Barisic fits into that.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Lots of other questions coming in, folks. We'll try and get to some.
Just on Barisic, while you're looking for that question as well, Derek, I think it's the right decision, because for all the quality that he can bring, I think as well, that Parkhead game last season, I know he came back from that and he did well in Europe, but I do think that you need to evolve your team, and sometimes that means bringing, you look at Yilmaz's character, certainly from that, the reaction of the Besiktas fans and players. I think Rangers are bringing in a really good, driven, grounded character who won't have any issues, adapting to the pressures of Ibrox, because he played in Turkish football, which by all accounts is absolutely mental in the same way that Scottish football can be. And I think Barisic has been here, 3 to 4 seasons? This is 4. He came in Gerrard's first season, actually, didn't he? So this is so that was 2018. So he's been here a while. I just think sometimes maybe it is about refreshing before there's a desperate need to refresh, if you know what I mean, before it, not kind of settling on what you just have. And Bassi did really become the first choice left back last season. The only reason I think that he didn't play there all the time was because he was so good at centre back. So I think it's a good decision by the board.
Yeah, and this point from Derek Gray, a lot of comments sort of agreeing with him that he does need time to settle. He is a young lad. He's leaving Turkey to play in a foreign country, different culture and what have you. There's a language issue as well, and I think it's just a case of integrating with his teammates. But by all accounts, from the obligatory YouTube videos, Joshua, and the video that Besiktas have posted up, this boy looks the real deal, and he can cross the ball, and he's got loads of energy. It looks like he's going to be a right cracking player, I think, for Rangers, and one the fans will really be excited about. Other things I wanted to touch on. Gordon gets in touch. Morning all. Matondo update. Surely he's not injured already. So this was sort of rumours that came out yesterday suggesting he had a scan on his hamstring. Obviously sparked a lot of panic and concern based on the fact he's just joined and he has looked very impressive. Now, understand, yes, they had a sort of checkup, but it's nothing serious, and it shouldn't be out. It's not a long-term issue or anything. It's just a checkup. He was at the training day yesterday. He was one of a number of certain players that weren't training because they were having a recovery day following the exertions over the weekend. But I'm led to believe that it's nothing serious, so don't get too hit up, folks, about Matondo. I'm sure it was just what happens with players just go and get things checked out, and I'm sure he'll be back featuring. Although saying that, Joshua, I'm not too sure if Livingston's plastic pitch is ideal, not only for him but a number of other players. I always worry when we play on these surfaces that things can happen, a la Jamie Murphy that we've seen a few seasons ago at Rugby Park.
Yeah, well, I'm obviously the plastic pitch debate feels like a few years old now, and it's kind of been, I think it's been accepted, hasn't it? But yeah, obviously not ideal. I don't remember injuries on Livingston's pitch off the top of my head, but yeah, I don't know how much that will be factored in. I guess that's maybe something to ask at the weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Scott Wright starts purely because, not even due to the pitch, but he just knows what this type of game involves, and it is. And I would never really stray towards the kind of adapt too much in Scottish football argument. But I think when you're starting the first game away from home against Livingston, it's a really difficult place. They're a good team. I think Livingston have had a really unfair reputation over the past few years in Scottish football. You know, you look at the size of them last year, they're not a team of huge giants who just lob the ball forwards. Under Lyndon Dykes, maybe they were quite direct. But they're just, I think, a really well-coached side who have consistently punched above their weight and are hard to break down and do that in a number of, intelligent different ways. So it will be a difficult game. I'm sure David Martindale will be well clued up on how Van Bronckhorst is going to try and attack. But as we said, kind of at the top of the show, hopefully the variations that Van Bronckhorst has been working on in pre-season means that Rangers are able to change and do different things in games that kind of take opposition managers off guard and by not always doing the same thing that makes them kind of a stronger team to face.
Yeah, and I think David Martindale deserves so much credit for the team that he's built there. Really, hats off to him. It's a remarkable job considering the resources that they have, and it won't be easy on Saturday. They always give Rangers and namely Celtic. They've got some good scalps against Celtic actually there, but it wouldn't be an easy opener. But you'd imagine Rangers will be right on it for that game. And I sort of agree with you, Joshua. I think Scott Wright will be the man trusted over in that right-hand side to start the game anyway. It'll be interesting to see what that starting lineup will be at this point in time. We'll do our predicted lineups on Friday, but at this early stage, I think a Wright, Kent, and Cholak front three is what I'm thinking.
And maybe this is, for me, I think that Tom Lawrence is going to come in and just score goals in games like this. And
yeah.
You know what I mean? I just feel like he wasn't the most glamorous signing of the summer, but I think he'll be really effective in these types of matches. And I know you'll be happy about that Derek scene as you called it from the start. But maybe it will be Matondo, depending, I guess, on how kind of fresh he is with the weekend. But I think it'll be that. Certainly Cholak, Lawrence, Kent. I think Kamara over Jack, probably Kamara and Lundstrom.
That would be.
But I'd imagine Barisic starts. I don't think Davies. We're gonna have to differentiate between Stephen Davies and Ben Davies a lot this season because I've just.
Folk down here call him Ben Davies, but Stephen Davies is Davo and Ben Davies is Ben Davies.
Okay, because some people were telling me it was Davies, so I've been led astray with that one. But probably Suter, I'd imagine, at the back. I mean, James Sands, I thought impressed. We had a piece on the website about it yesterday. Really impressed with his passing out from the back. But, obviously as well, away in Scottish football, being a centre-back is a physically demanding job that I think John Suter is very well accustomed to. Probably Suter and Goldson for me the first day of the season. But as you say, and the goalkeeper situation, Derek, again, we've got something on the website about that today. who starts, I think it's going to be John McLaughlin. I thought Alan McGregor made some great saves against Tottenham, but I also think that a couple of times you can see how much more comfortable McLaughlin is with the ball at his feet. I just think it's pretty cut and dry. It's black and white. So it's a delicate situation, because I think with Alan McGregor, if he was to make one mistake, I think the reaction would be pretty intense, shall we say, because there's still probably some scar tissue from last season. And regardless of the fact that if he, over the course of the season, he didn't cost Rangers goals statistically. I know he cost Rangers goals at points, and there was things he was at fault for. But if you look at the numbers, the goal saved above average, he was still in the green, much less than the season before. But I just think McLaughlin gives you so much more with his distribution, and obviously being able to come and claim the ball. So that's a big decision Van Bronckhorst has, and he was asked about it by Stevie Clifford, good friend of the show, on one of the days this week, and he kind of said that he didn't know who the number one was going to be, but I don't know. I don't know if that was entirely true. I think he'll have a good idea of who he's going to start in goals in Livingston on Saturday.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what that starting team is going to be. Question coming in here from Denzel. He says, morning, have to confess to concern at embarking upon the season with one fit striker, so much at stake. Number of supporters are slightly concerned about this, Joshua. I can see why, given how Rangers ended the season last term with no strikers. Cholak, of course, is the main man at the moment. It was great to see Alfredo Morelos joining in training yesterday, but he's still some weeks away. No sign of Kemar Roofe as it stands. It remains to be seen if we'll see him in the Rangers jersey again. There are some murmurings he could be on his way. Fashion Sakala, of course, we know can play up top if required. Is it a concern for you that the forward, the striking position position at the moment heading into the league opener, and of course next week's game against Union, who I'm told that's how you pronounce it, not USD or USG. I'm told it's Union. That's how they're referred to in Belgium.
Well, Morelos did look very, very keen to make whatever impression he could just with the fans there yesterday. I thought, you know how much he loves the crowd, and he was certainly energetic, looked like he was involved, enjoying being back involved in the team session. I don't think he's too far away from being back involved. Back maybe about 3-4 weeks ago, I was told the hope was to get him in for those European games, whether that's the home or away tie, I don't know, but certainly I think Livingston might come just a bit too soon. Behind that, you're right, one fit striker isn't a great position to be, but what you would say is Sakala can play there, although I don't really like him playing up front. Thielman also can play as number 9, and when I was speaking to Derek Ray, which is on the YouTube channel, he said that he deputised for Lewandowski. He was seen as kind of the backup. That's largely because Lewandowski plays every game, or did play every game for Bayern. Obviously, he's now at Barcelona. But he certainly has some qualities that are quite transferable to playing up top. And also, I think Tom Lawrence in an emergency could cover there. So I don't think it's quite the same situation as last year. Well, I guess Aribo was the false 9, and he was the attacking midfielder who went up the line. Cholak is regarded, I know for a fact, to be very, very fit. Van Bronckhorst was saying in a press conference recently that he played the most minutes out of anyone in pre-season because he played the most minutes for PAOK, and then obviously he's played the most minutes for Rangers as well. I think he's really fit and ready to go, and it's a case of banking on him for a few games to be there. And then when Morelos comes back, there'll be that competition, and I think that competition for Morelos, Derek, is going to be just what he needs, because he's not really had that for his number 9 spot. I know there was a small part in the title-winning 2020-21 season in which Kemar Roofe kind of played centrally, but not over an extended period of time. I think if Morelos has someone come in who's at the peak of his career, and Cholak, who obviously wants to come and play games, that's only going to push him on. We know what type of character and temperament I think he has, and if you can utilise that well in a squad, in my opinion. So, hopefully they push one another, and when Morelos is back, he scores. He decides to break his domestic goal scoring record, which I think is 17 in a Scottish Premiership season. So I think he'd like to get a few more than that this season. But Colak until then, with maybe Tillman as an emergency backup, because I thought Tillman's looked very tidy in the small glimpses we've seen of him. He's going to be an exciting player, I'm sure, and offers something a little bit different from Lawrence, maybe in regards to the fact that he can play those kind of passes down the sides of defences and possesses good vision, as well as hopefully providing a goal threat in that area.
Yeah, I wanted you to touch on this because it ties in with what Fashion said yesterday. The Fash, when asked what his goal scoring record, sort of his target is this season, he says he wants to get double than what he got last season, which is 24 goals. Joshua, can you see him having as much joy in front of goal this season?
Scott Wright, well, I'm glad to know it's just not just us that calls him the Fash, because Scott Wright was calling him Wee Fash, which is very, very endearing. Again, he's such an interest. I just think up top, I just don't think he looks comfortable at all when he's playing through the middle. When he comes from the left-hand side, you can see he can be effective. Again, the example I used yesterday in our live stream after the training session, Derek, was the 3-1 win against Motherwell. When he's coming in from that left-hand side, offers you a different threat from Kent. He might get a little bit less game time, but again, that's no bad thing, because I think what you want last season, when you've only really got Wright, Sakala, Kent, Morelos, Arfield as your options in the front line, it's just not enough competition there. Now you've added Matondo in there, you've added Colak, Tillman and Lawrence are in that conversation, that attacking unit conversation, and people know that they need to impress and they need to perform. And I think at any level that'll impact players, just as it was at an amateur level, because you know that you need to make an impact because your spot isn't safe. So Sakala certainly domestically can make an impact. I don't think anyone would be surprised if he went and scored a couple of goals against Livingston, for example, and then maybe looked out of his depth the next week against Union, as happened before, put it that way. But he also, I think, will need to kick on this season if he wants to maybe have a long-term future at Rangers in terms of that consistency, in terms of improving as a player when he's played through the middle in pre-season. Just again, of the snippets we've seen, I don't know how much he really gives you as a hold-up player there. But then again, to go back on that point, he's going to score you goals and he can be so effective. And he obviously has attributes that make him a very good player at points. Yeah, the goal at Celtic Park, just instinct months ago. No one. Football's so funny like that, because ultimately a player could frustrate, take bad touches, but if they put the ball in the back of the net, you need players that are going to do that, and Sakala has the ability to do that. So a valuable person definitely to be around. Yeah,
Jim McCarroll gets in touch. Josh, he says, "You look more comfortable this morning since there are no seagulls." You're looking slightly nervous yesterday at Ibrox when they were circling overhead.
I was, Jim. I said to my wife, "Let's do with the podcast, and there's seagulls everywhere." And do you know where this starts from, Derek? I'll tell you a quick story before we round up. About a year ago, just after COVID, I was in Glasgow City Centre. It was when I was working at the Euros. 7 o'clock, nice and early, went to get myself a bacon roll at Tim Hortons as a treat. Now, the city centre had been quite quiet because of COVID. And after which, I heard that seagulls had become particularly aggressive at the lack of, people walking around with bacon rolls in the city centre. And it even led to eating some pigeons, which is, a different story. But so what happens? I have my bacon roll. There's a phone box next to me, and I see a seagull just perch. And I was listening to something, and I didn't really register until I caught eye contact with it, and I thought, he's going to go for me here, isn't he? So the seagull swoops down. I try, in my instinct, to hit it. I don't know why, miss it, which is terribly embarrassing, and it steals my bacon roll. So that's why I was attacked by a seagull. So Jim, you're right. I don't like it much. So, and they always come into Ibrox after the game because of all the food. So I know there is depth to the story.
Yeah. Wow. Have you been attacked by a seagull, folks? Let us know in the comments. Got to say I have been on the right side of them so far, touch wood, but they do cause havoc at times. Just wanted to finish up on the fact that the B team are in action tonight. Joshua, you're going to K Park in East Kilbride for us to cover that game against East Kilbride. Hopefully they get back to winning ways after a disappointing opening day defeat to the brilliantly named Civil Service Strollers. You won't find a better name in Scottish football than that. Maybe Inverurie Local Works. But looking forward to that game tonight. And Zach Lovelace is a man that's on everyone's lips at the moment, Joshua. Looking forward to seeing him in action. I've got a suspicion he won't be in the B team for long. He looks like a unit, that boy.
He does. The way he won the penalty in the highlights against Queen's Park. You're welcome, Ross. In the way against Queen's Park, I thought he does look like a man the way he plays. Looking forward to going to the B team game. We're going to be hopefully we're going to be a fair few of them this season. We were at a couple last season, Derek, but hopefully bring some more coverage for that. So if you're not watching, I'll be tweeting out, I'm sure, from the game, and then also have some kind of probably a post-match video taking you through the game. So if you're not watching the game but you want to kind of get a roundup of what happened, keep your notifications on the YouTube channel, and I'll speak to you from EK, East Kilbride, tonight.
Yeah, fantastic. We'll finish up Gallant Pine here. Says seagulls eat anything, absolutely anything. I seen a video of one swallowing a baby rabbit whole. Unbelievable. So that's quite incredible. But watch yourself, folks. The seagulls were out and about in Glasgow yesterday. So if you've got any food at your disposal, make sure you consume it immediately before they pounce like they did on Joshua. Okay, that'll do us there. Thanks to everyone for getting in touch as ever. We'll be back again tomorrow. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.